Hey guys, it's Heather from Here She Grows, and I'm in my vegetable garden checking on my new little fig tree. So I say new because I killed my old fig tree. It was a Chicago hardy fig, and I've done several blog posts on it as well as videos about how I overwinter my Chicago hardy. So Chicago hardy figs are hardy to zone 5. You can plant them in the ground, a lot of people do, and here in the Chicago area, they're root hardy, they're not above ground hardy. So everything will die back in the wintertime and then it grows from the roots in the springtime. So I didn't want to do that. I want to have a plant that's ready to rock and roll as soon as I bring it out for the springtime. So that's why I was growing my Chicago hardy in a container. But I was growing it in a 15-gallon smart pot. Smart pots are wonderful, but it's still, 15 gallons of soil is very, very heavy, and it made it kind of difficult to move around. So what I was doing is lugging that big container into the basement every year and overwintering it in the basement. And I think this past winter, it was just a case of benign neglect. That's not my term, it was a term given to me by a friend of mine, and I think she's completely right. I didn't intentionally try to kill it. It was just, putting off. I do water the plants that I overwinter in the basement once a month. So the Brugmansia is down there. Fortunately, that did well, that came back for me. But it was kind of one of those things where I'd be like, oh, I'll water it. I'll get to it tomorrow. Well, when I finally did get to it, I did water it a handful of times, but obviously it wasn't enough. And by the time March came around, when it should have been starting to send out the bright green new shoots on it, it wasn't doing that. It was toast. So I decided I still want to have a fig, but I want to do something that's more manageable. And I heard about the Fignomenal fig. So Stephanie Cohen wrote a story for Fine Gardening magazine a few years ago, talking about how wonderful this little plant was. And I remember that. I clipped the article out, and when my Chicago hardy died, I decided to go ahead and order a Fignomenal. So Fignomenal is pretty cool because it's supposed to be a heavy producer. You can see a few of the fruits on mine here, but a heavy producer, and it stays really compact, so about 2.5 feet tall and wide. So it's perfect for a patio, a porch, a small space. It's very ornamental too. I mean, look how beautiful these leaves are. They're so pretty and very leathery feeling. So I have the fruits. I love the fruits. And growing it in a container, I decided obviously I wasn't going to go with the 15-gallon. It's not necessary for a small plant like this. I have it in a 3-gallon smart pot, and I probably will bump it up to a 5-gallon in the springtime. But I'm going to treat this as a houseplant. They're suggesting you bring it into the house. This is hardy to zone 7, so like it can take 0 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit for low temperatures. So they say you can treat it as a houseplant. I'm going to do that. I'm going to harvest the fruit and then cut it back to the shape that I want it, kind of clean it up a little bit, and then bring it inside, bring it into the basement, but treat it as a houseplant and see what happens. So I think it's a really nice option for smaller space growers who love figs, and I'm looking forward to this producing more and more and more every year. So hardy to zone 7, it's self-pollinating, so you don't need to have another tree on hand to get this to fruit, and really easy to take care of. Now, because I have it in a container, I do fertilize more frequently as opposed to if it were in the ground. So I use a product by Dr. Earth. It's for fruit and nut trees, and just a handful of it on the surface of the soil once a month, scratch it in, water it. And that's the biggest challenge, is keeping a plant like this watered, because in the smart pot, like anything in a container, dries out quickly. So you do want to be on top of watering, because when a fig doesn't get adequate water, it can start dropping leaves. And if there's fruit on here and it's not getting enough water, the fruit will start to drop. So, and speaking of dropping fruit, the best way to know when to harvest is when these fruits start to droop. So right now these are very upright, and when they're ready to harvest, they will color up. They'll turn a dark brownish purple color, and then they'll start to droop, and that's your sign that they're probably pretty close to ripe. So unlike other fruits that you can pick when they're green and they'll ripen up, this one you can't do that. So if I were to pick this now, it's not going to ripen up. It's just a waste. So you have to let them ripen completely on the tree, and then you can harvest them. So very easy thing to take care of. It's a really cool thing to have if you like fresh figs. And I'm just going to wait until the temperatures are around 35 degrees, and then I'm going to bring it in the house and treat it as a houseplant and see where it goes from there. But I have high hopes for this, and I've learned a lesson to not put off watering for things that I'm overwintering in the basement. They're easy to forget. So now I just keep an eye on these guys and harvest when they're ready and beat the wasps. The wasps love figs. So they're a simple plant to take care of. Very low maintenance. I've never had a pest issue on my fig or a disease issue other than, you know, withholding water accidentally and killing my fig. So very easy plant to take care of and really cool fig for small space growers. So the links to where you can find a Fignomenal fig are below. So if you're looking for a smaller edible fig that maybe you can keep on your patio, or you just want something that small you can grow in a container or grow it as a house plant, needs full sun, so put it in your sunniest window and like 6 to 8 hours of sun in your garden. Definitely check out Fignomenal fig. I think it's pretty cool. I am gonna, once these fruits are ripe, I'm gonna harvest them and then shape the plant and then bring it in before the temperatures drop below 35 degrees here. And then we'll check back on it in the spring. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.